In early June 2017, I was on a road trip with my son Tom, who was 9 years old. Our destination was West Virginia, where we were visiting our family. It was a long and stressful drive, and my car's S/T was not working on this incredibly hot day. By the 6-hour mark, both Tom and I were feeling the effects of the heat. Due to our late departure, we were still on the interstate when darkness fell. At around 9:00 p.m., Tom began to whine about needing to use the bathroom, which only added to the existing tension in the car. This led to a minor argument between us over personal matters that I'd rather not disclose. It was then that I saw a blue rest area sign flash by on the interstate, and I quickly drove towards it. The small building had 2 bathrooms, vending machines, and benches. Only a big white pickup truck was parked nearby. Tom hurriedly ran to the bathroom as I pulled up. I left the car running, knowing he would return soon. Since we weren't talking anymore because of the argument, I expected the rest of the journey to be quiet. A minute later, the back door opened and closed, and I didn't know what to say to Tom, so I stayed quiet and drove. The white pickup truck parked nearby was leaving too and followed closely behind me as I got back on the interstate. I was in the left lane, and the driver started flashing his lights, so I switched to the right lane, thinking he was an aggressive driver. However, he followed me to the right lane, still flashing his lights. I slowed down as he caught up and lowered his window, yelling something and pointing at my car. He looked suspicious. I couldn't hear him, so he gestured for me to pull over. I told Tom to keep calm, but deep down, I was already thinking that if the guy behind us tried anything fishy, I would not hesitate to take him down. Suddenly, the pickup truck parked behind us on the grass, and the guy jumped out of his vehicle and sprinted towards my car. My heart was pounding as I swiftly prepared to drive off. However, he shouted for me to wait, and as he reached my window, he pointed at the back seat and yelled, "That's not your kid." I was bewildered and asked, "What do you mean?" He repeated, "That's not your kid that got in your car." Then, out of nowhere, the back right side door opened, and I turned my head to witness a tall grown man exiting my car. I burst out of my car, screaming at the man, but he vanished into the woods. Turning my attention to the driver of the pickup truck, I thanked him while simultaneously panicking for Tom. I hastily climbed back into my car, crossed the grassy area between the interstates, and raced back to the rest area. To my surprise, the pickup truck followed me, arriving at the rest area in just 30 seconds, where we found Tom patiently waiting outside the bathroom. Once Tom was safely back in the car, I and the pickup driver explained what happened. I thanked him once more before he drove back to his original spot. Tom's fascination with what had happened only added to my growing sense of unease. Forgetting our fight, we conversed the entire way back. As soon as we arrived, we told our family about the incident, but I never even caught a glimpse of the person who had entered my car. Perhaps it was for the best that I never turned around to see his face, because who knows what he was capable of doing. Recently, my girlfriend and I embarked on a road trip to California. We had a smooth journey and reached the hotel by nightfall. However, on our way back, we left in the afternoon and drove for the most part in darkness. The round trip lasted about 10 hours each way, excluding the 2 food stops we made. After 3 hours of driving, we took a break for food, and later, around 12:30 a.m., we stopped at the nearest Wendy's before getting back on the freeway. While driving, I ate, which my girlfriend didn't like, but I wanted to get home quickly. Then it started raining as we got back on the freeway. My girlfriend made me pull over because she didn't want me to eat and drive in bad weather. As it started to pour, I finished my food, and suddenly, we heard a bang at the window. At first, I thought the noise was from the storm, but when I looked out the window, I saw a figure blocking most of it. My girlfriend shrieked, and I was terrified. Despite the heavy rain, I opened the door a bit to hear what the person was saying. It was a soaked and terrified woman who asked for a ride. I couldn't refuse in such conditions, so I asked her to get in the back seat, but my girlfriend gave me a disapproving look. Asking the woman where she was heading yielded no response, and my girlfriend looked at me with disappointment once again. Ignoring her, I turned around to see the woman staring at me with a cold and disturbing expression. I repeated the question, but the woman just shrugged her shoulders and remained silent. As I informed my girlfriend and the mysterious woman in the back that we would be dropping her off at the next town, I received another disapproving look. Driving down the isolated highway, a sudden deafening scream shattered the silence, and the woman in the back seized me by the throat, leaving me gasping for air. I slammed on the brakes, desperately trying to shake her off. I almost hit the divider, and my girlfriend lunged at the woman and clawed at her face with her nails. The screaming intensified, shifting from anger to pain. I quickly got out of the car and saw the woman pressing her hands against her face in distress. I opened the back door, grabbed her with both hands, and pulled her out of the car into the pouring rain. She begged us, crying and repeating the word "please," but I ignored her as I got back into the car and locked the doors. Suddenly, there were loud thuds on the car window, followed by the woman's deranged screams. I tried to remain calm and drove away, thinking that she was no longer a real threat. However, her eerie screams still echoed in my mind, reminding me of the mental asylum patients I had seen in horror movies. My girlfriend immediately called the police and warned them of the woman lurking on the highway. We didn't make any stops after that and went straight home, both of us shaken up by the frightening incident. I didn't want to dwell on it any longer than necessary, but the memory of the woman's haunting screams stayed with me. In 2010, I set out on a journey in my Ford F-150, leaving my house in Pennsylvania for the countryside of Georgia to spend the week with my family. The trip was estimated to take approximately 14 hours, and I had planned to complete it in one day. I started at 10 a.m., made a brief stop at a deli for lunch, and then 4 hours later, pulled over at a rest area to enjoy the turkey sandwiches I had packed in the cooler. I intended to avoid any other unnecessary stops along the way, apart from a pit stop at 11:30 p.m. Having refueled my truck, I calculated my estimated arrival time to be around 12:30 a.m. Despite my growing exhaustion, I forgot to grab a coffee at the gas station. As I followed the GPS, something seemed off about the route it was directing me to take. Instead of remaining on the highway, the directions led me down some obscure country back roads. Fortunately, my truck was tall, affording me a clear view of my surroundings. Additionally, I had a light bar installed, which proved to be a great help in illuminating the roads. Despite my drowsiness, I kept going. I was so close to my cousin's house, and I couldn't stop now. Approaching a stop sign, I made a left turn onto a road even quieter than the previous one. Surprisingly, the speed limit was 45 miles per hour, which was reassuring. The surroundings were desolate, with no signs of civilization for miles. The only thing on the road was dense forest on either side. Seizing the opportunity to make up for lost time, I sped up to 55 to 60 miles per hour, confident that I wouldn't encounter any other vehicles on such a remote road at this hour. Out of nowhere, I saw 4 gleaming objects situated in the middle of the road ahead. I hit the brakes with all my might, and as I drew closer, I saw that the objects were traffic drums, those gigantic cylindrical cones used to guide traffic. Miraculously, I was able to bring my truck to a screeching halt, just inches from colliding with the drums. I clutched my baseball bat tightly as I exited my truck, feeling alarmed. I approached the drums only to discover a spike trap, which is usually used by police. At this point, my mind raced with questions. Was this some sort of police operation or a trap? I took a survey of my surroundings while slowly going back to my truck. Suddenly, I hear someone screaming for help from the woods. I wasn't going to venture into the woods, so I called out to the voice, asking what was wrong, but there was no response. I edged closer to the edge of the road, peering into the dense forest. The faint light of my truck's headlights allowed me to catch a glimpse of a figure crouched behind the bushes. Fearful and confused, I avoided direct eye contact and calmly made my way back to the safety of my truck, shutting the door behind me. I noticed 2 shadowy figures approaching my truck from the edge of the woods. Reacting quickly, I turned my vehicle to the right side of the road, onto the dirt, and narrowly avoided the spike trap. They seemed caught off guard by this. Looking back in the rearview mirror, I saw 3 silhouettes by the traffic drums. I could see them because of my truck's taillights before they disappeared into the darkness. I felt grateful to have survived the encounter. It was an experience I never could have anticipated. Thank you for watching our collection of bone-chilling horror stories. We hope that they have given you the goosebumps and thrills you were looking for. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to our channel for more spine-tingling tales. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest uploads. And as always, stay safe, stay alert, and never let your guard down, for you never know what horrors may be lurking in the darkness.